Welcome back, guys, to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today I want to talk about the Aquarius full moon on August the 3rd. I'm going to bring this up in the context of some interesting Sabian symbols, the asteroid Atlantis, and I want to think about this whole theme of this being about healing, rebellion, and electrifying change. Now, before I go ahead and talk about the situation for the collective, I'm also going to bring up the fact that this is my channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Thank you. And please make comments because I do listen, I do read them, and I do respond. Also, I want to say that I'm having a sale on the Mars transit through Aries, which is a very big deal. It hasn't done this since 1988, and it's only $97 for a pre-recorded 45-minute session with me, in which I send it to you and talk about how this Mars through Aries for 6 months is going to change your reality, bringing you bold choices and adventurous action and great change. All right. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the collective. Now, if you want to know your own sign, rising sign, sun, or moon, you can skip ahead, of course, and the timestamps are in the description box below, as well as the sale link as well for the Mars reading. So let's get going. So, you know, guys, it's been weird. I mean, if you're living through this time like we all are, you're probably going, what the hell is happening to reality? So, for one thing, we're having a huge amount of energy piling up with the Capricorn stellium of, you know, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, where that energy will be squared by Mars this year. And it's an ongoing year-long, really rare time that we're living in. So I just want to say that if you feel stressed out, if you feel insane with your friends and you want to throttle your family, particularly right now where everyone seems to have their own view on what to do with things like COVID, please just understand you're being swept up in like what is a collective field of weird. And this moon doesn't make it any easier because this full moon, okay, at 11 degrees of Aquarius, opposing the sun at 11 degrees of Leo, will at the same time be squared by an almost completely stationary Uranus. Okay, so Uranus is at 10 degrees, getting ready to station into his retrograde motion. And so he's moving very slow, which means that he's gazing at or being able to look at that moon and look at that sun from a very still position, meaning that he's really looking at it. Now my chair, I have this really funky chair that keeps moving down on me. Okay, if it keeps doing this, I'm not going to re-record. I just don't want to. I'm going to switch chairs. I'm going to grab my squeaky chair. Just give me a sec. This is, I swear, guys, I do not do second takes. I have no patience for it. Okay, you get the real deal here. All right, let's try a chair that doesn't sink down into the ethers by itself. My squeaky red chair instead. Hang on. Oh, all right, back to the thing. So really, honestly, this moon being squared by Uranus, who's almost at a standstill, therefore potent, almost stationary energy, just beaming rebellion, iconoclastic energy, freedom, extreme desire for individuality at this moon and at this sun, forming what is a T-square in the sky, is a big deal because, you know, a lot of what's going on right now in the collective is now going to be amplified with this energy, where people have their own view, their own little niche view of what's going on with the economy, with the politics, with the virus, etc. And, you know, we've got a lot of conspiracy theory and hoaxing and you know, families being broken up because family members are disagreeing about what's really going on. And there's a lot of like my individual freedom, my individual rights, my individual sovereignty. I'm not going to wear a mask. It's my right to say no. You know, that's so much like Uranus, off the rails freedom and sovereignty and individualism. And with a square from Uranus to the moon and a square from Uranus to the sun, that's just going to amplify over the next month. Not going to get any better. And it's interesting to see that the sun is conjunct the asteroid Atlantis, and that won't be the same, that won't be the case, like let's say a month from now, okay? So this is a timing factor. It's 1 degree. The asteroid Atlantis is 1 degree off the sun during the time of this square from Uranus on the full moon. And to me, that's foreboding. Okay, I'm just going to lay it out there. I mean, what was Atlantis about? The archetype of a disaster, a calamity, the end of a civilization, you know, a sinking. And, you know, Uranus, when he's square a full moon, can bring earthquakes And, you know, the archetype of Atlantis is earthquakes or something calamitous that sunk a civilization under the sea. So I am going to suggest that it is a possibility that we will experience some kind of calamity, geophysical calamity, like an earthquake or a tsunami that comes from an earthquake during the next 30 days. I don't want that to happen. It just looks like it's what could happen for the collective. Now, a mitigating factor for all, oh, and going back, the sun is on the Sabian symbol for an evening long party, which is suggestive of socializing and camaraderie and friendship and fun times, you know. And of course, that's not really possible right now with social distancing and bubbles and stuff like that and limits on crowd size. And the moon is on the Sabian symbol of people on the stairs graduated upward, which is kind of hopeful. Like maybe we can graduate upward to some kind of new direction or new ascension or something like that. But that evening lawn party with Atlantis conjunct the sun, well, there's a square from Uranus, suggests that there can be sudden calamity and upset and something not good. Like, I mean, okay, so Uranus can rule rebellions and riots and protests, you know? And what's the difference between a peaceful protest and looting and rioting? What is that fine line? Who calls that fine line? What does it really look like if you have a bunch of peaceful protesters, but 3 people are acting aggressive and could be called rioters in the midst of them? So while all that's happening, you know, in the middle of that, there's this problem going on also with Saturn. I'm going to grab my chart. I'm looking at it on my big screen so I don't squint into the little one. Saturn is in a direct opposition at 27 degrees to Mercury at 27 degrees on the day of the full moon. So Saturn is like the structures, the bureaucracy, the systems, the status quo, the need for control. So I think maybe Saturn and Capricorn, government's trying to restrict and control energetically. And then we've got the opposition from that Cancerian Mercury. That's like dissent. That's like people's voices. That's information. That could be misinformation even. So, you know, there's this tension between, like, say, you know, a Dr. Fauci, who would be considered the establishment doctor, and then like that thing, the frontline doctors that stood on the wherever did a press conference, and that's a polarity, right? And you know, there's just diametrically opposed energies there. And it's interesting that that Mercury, which I'm looking at on my big screen, but I'm now seeing it on this one, that Mercury at 27 degrees opposing Saturn on the day of the full moon is also conjunct Vesta. Think of the torch, the sacred torch, the sacred ember, and Hygeia, the goddess of health. So what kind of communication is trying to be had or spoken or said in Cancer, the great mother, that is, you know, trying to, you know, voice something, I guess, or write something or communicate something with Mercury that's being opposed or squished or controlled or repressed by Saturn. Now, I am not a conspiracy theorist person, but I do believe that there is misinformation out there on both sides of all things. I mean, for instance, hydroxychloroquine probably does work, but I mean, you can't take it preventatively. I mean, 120 something million Americans can't all be popping hydroxychloroquine every single day, right? I mean, first of all, the drug supply chain won't work. There's not enough of it. So there's just so much going on. So don't expect it to get better in the next 30 days, not with this chart, not with that square from Uranus, not with the opposition of Saturn and Mercury at the time of the moon. Now, the happy news in the story, if we can call it happy, or the silver lining, is there is a trine from Chiron. And even though Chiron is retrograde, he is in a perfect trine or near perfect trine to the 11-degree sun and moon, particularly, I mean, trine to the sun and sextile to the moon. And that is like a call for healing. And it's not just physical healing. Chiron is the magical, miraculous, walking in water, raise the dead, Lazarus, Neo in the Matrix, non-ordinary levels of healing. I'm going to encourage everybody with that to look at their own lives in the context of what purpose and healing is being called forth in your life, because Chiron represents both our true purpose energies, our soul's unique signature, but it also represents the magical, the non-ordinary, and the healing available to us. A trine and a sextile, you know, moon to sun, is there a guide, a mentor, or somebody that could come to you in the next 30 days physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, that could really make a difference. Now, for the collective, maybe finally there'll be a voice of healing sanity. Maybe somewhere, somehow, at some point over the next 30 days, in the midst of this mire of economic collapse and pandemic and all of that, there'll be some kind of luminary, some kind of bright light voice speaking out and gathering positive momentum for the collective. Who knows? Really, who knows? Okay, let's go through for the all signs right now. And I will make a small note that Venus is approaching the North Node right now. She won't get there until 2 days after the moon. And I think I'll do my own video just for that. But Venus coming, now that she's out of shadow from her retrograde, coming into contact with Rahu, the North Node, can really make a nice amplification of money and love in everybody's life and for the collective as well. Although on the North Node, Venus can actually display the opposite of success financially for the stock markets. It can actually show where the bubble or the inflation is, the rational exuberance, as they used to say, Greenspan said years ago, that her coming to the nodal axis, Venus, on August the 5th, could be a dramatic stock market downturn. Okay, I'll just say it, because it's like a popping of a bubble in some way. The light, we see the light of truth, and this inflation that is Rahu, as Venus has been approaching, it finally comes together and the air goes out of the balloon, you know. So I expect that probably to show up sometime in the days after, 4 to 5 days at max after this full moon, knowing that, you know, Venus is going to meet the North Node in Gemini on the 5th of August, I believe. Okay, so let's go ahead and do all signs. This is going to be longer than usual because I want to talk both about the wounded healer and Uranus. So please just know that you can always just skip ahead to your own sign. Reminder, like, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow the channel, and I would love you to be a part of this tribe to get notifications that I'm going to post. And I often, share specials and reading specials here that I don't share anywhere else on the internet. So please subscribe. Alrighty, so Aries, I love this, guys. You guys are having a lot of juice. I'm an Aries sun. So before we go into Aries, I want to remind everybody, if you know your rising sign or your ascendant sign is the best, then you can choose your sun or your moon. If you're born at night when the sky is dark, then you want to perhaps look first at your moon. And conversely, if you're a day baby, look at the sun. But all of those will apply, sun, moon, and ascendant. All right, so Aries, sun, moon, or ascendants, especially ascendant. The moon itself is going to be situated in your natal 11th house of friends and allies and benefactors and great gains from your career, as well as a sense of the house of your hopes, dreams, and wishes. And reminding you that there is that square from Uranus. Where is that square coming from? How is it hitting you? Well, it's squaring, okay, in a negative or harsh aspect energy, or whatever, a pressure from the second house of your finances, or the second house of your self-worth, or things that you eat and ingest, or things that you speak and you say, because it rules the throat. And if there's any chance that you have a message that you really want to get out to the world, and that's what this is about, then that Uranus square from the second house could catalyze you to have a great idea, an aha, a eureka about the message, or how to present it to who? The 11th house. The world at large, social groups, tribes, memberships that you belong to. If it's about your money, you could actually have a sudden money breakthrough. I mean, a square can be action. It doesn't have to be a problem, you know? You could have some kind of great gain, because the 11th and the second are both monetary houses. So you can have a financial great gain, or a windfall, or some lucky money break through friends, or your career path itself, the 10th house, coming to you as revenue or money stream in the second house. And there is that. Now, Uranus, because he's sudden, you can't predict it. Nothing is predictable with Uranus. It's nothing that you're expecting, okay? It's nothing like you've got this whole thing planned, okay? We'll be like, oh, and either an idea to increase your revenue, or a breakthrough in your revenue over the next 30 days between this moon, or 28 days, and the next full moon. Now we're going to go to the Chironic element, okay? So Chiron is sitting in your natal first house, Aries, because he's been there for a while, right? The beginning of March 2019 or so. And it's going to be there for until 2026. So we just know that that's where he is. We're healing for you, Aries, you know, your identity. You know, who am I really? You know, who am I going to be when I grow up? No matter how old you are, big soul purpose, life purpose, true self questions are being renovation of that part of your life, being renovated by Chiron right now. And so when this Chiron energy, retrograde Chiron, is trining the sun, okay, and that sun is in your 5th house at this time, I really want to say that that is a real call to heal something to do with your children, your relationship to your children, to your relationship to love and love affairs and romance, and even your own creative projects and ideas. Chiron can actually bring magic and miracles and non-ordinary extra juice to all of those 5th house energies. Alrighty. So, and of course, if Chiron is trining your 5th, then we know that he is sextiling your 11th. So the axis is getting a Chironic healing, the 5th and the 11th house axis. So it is a good time if you've been estranged from your children to connect with them. If you're wanting to get pregnant and having trouble getting pregnant, or if there's any issues around pregnancy, this is where things will smooth out. There's a healing, healing love up energy coming from Chiron to the house of pregnancy for you, Aries. All right, let's move on. Taurus, this is happening in your 10th house. This is the moon with this square from Uranus in your 1st house. All right, what does it mean? Well, first of all, you Taurian sun, moon, and ascendants are focused on your career energies with this new moon. It's going to propel you for the next 30 days or so to really buckle down and figure out what you want to do, what your career path really is, and who you are in relationship to your contribution to the world. And then you've got this bolt of electrified energy, the suddenness and unexpectedness coming from Uranus in your 1st house. Possibly you may in the next 30 days dramatically change your appearance, or how you're physically looking. You change your wardrobe, change your hair, change your appearance. Something's going to change, something's going to give. Uranus is like eclectic, unusual, outside the box, rebellious. What ways are you going to change the way you look? I mean, I'm really curious about that for you guys. And if you don't change the way you look, then change the way you present yourself to the world, or who you really think you are. And it's not, Uranus in the 1st house is not a short-term event, right? He's there for a long time. When did he enter into there? Oh my gosh, like spring of 2019. So all of you Taurians are really coming through a time of reinvention of self, and really dramatically, maybe at some points, changing your avatar, who you think you are in the world. So this is amplified for 30 days, changing you in order to be in effective direction with your 10th house, your career energies. Okay. Depending on the system you use, the 10th house can be the house of the mother. So it could be a jolt of electrical energy around your mom and you, and it may not be necessarily pleasant. You might have an argument or an upset, maybe because of you being who you are. 1st house energies, Uranus, you're trying to be different than you're expecting, and maybe the parental figure, perhaps if we go with one system, 10th house is mom, is going to cause friction for you in you being you. All right, so the Chironic blessing, the healing of Chiron is happening for you guys. And I like this is, hang on, I'm going to fix my screen because I moved a chart in front, and now I can't see myself talking to you, and I can't tell if I'm looking at the camera properly. Oh, I can't even get it to move. Okay, there we go. Oh, I am looking at the camera. I had a chart in front of me. Okay, so the sun in your 4th house is getting trined by Chiron in your 12th. So this is to do with your home. This is to do with where you live, your city, and the land you stand on, and your apartment or your house. And in some ways, there's a healing around the home front for you, and healing emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Your ancestral line is here. Are you going to do an ancestral line healing? And if you do, it will really help inform your 10th house, your career, because there's that gentle sextile as well from Chiron to your career house. So things around career, contribution to the collective, and now healing of the home, thank you Chiron, are going to occur for you, as well as that sudden electrifying energy from Uranus, right? Squaring both the 4th house and the 10th house. So I really don't think that is necessarily bad. Okay, I'm going to say, I feel for you Taurians, this is going to wake up. One of the names of Uranus is a great awakener. It's going to jolt and wake up and zap, doing your sense of purpose in career and life. All right, moving on. Gemini. Sun, moon, and ascendant. You guys are having this in your ninth house. Now, your ninth house is the house of God, the house of spiritual wisdom and traditions and religions and university and college campuses. And it's the house of any long-term certification. It's the house of astrology. It's the house of book publishing. And it's the house of foreign lands. Can you get enough meanings up there? It's an in-between the worlds house, a metacosmos house. It's a deeply spiritual house. All right, that aside, this moon's sitting there, right? Sitting there, and it's basically getting a jolt of light or a freedom or energy from Uranus in your 12th house. This is a subtle place. The 12th house is going to be, well, it can be hidden enemies. So if someone like crosses you with a sudden jolt of negativity or something, fine. But it can also be for you, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, that your dreams at night, your meditations, your reveries, because this is the deep Akashic records part, the past lives, it's your inner world, it's your unconscious mind. So you could get some kind of really good energy coming to you from Uranus, giving you insight from the 12th. Now, it can be a house also where you receive money that's owed you, but this is not really a money part of the reading because it's a ninth house moon. But any kind of receiving of an unexpected financial blessing could come courtesy of Uranus, jolting some electrifying goodness into your 12th house and sending it to your ninth. Like it's a ninth house energy. So ninth, you know, mentors, God, guides, religion, foreign lands, colleges, campuses, books. Okay, book publishing. So those themes. Now, let's go over to Chiron and the healer. The healing energy of Chiron is presently in your 11th house, where it will be for quite a few years, just entered there a year ago. And so you've got Chiron trying to heal your social groups, who you collaborate with, to heal your hopes, dreams, and wishes. If you've lost touch with your hopes, dreams, and wishes, this is being healed and restored with Chiron, to think more magically and to bring on a little bit of non-ordinary magic to those hopes, dreams, and wishes. It's also the great financial gains from your career that you can accrue from being active in your 10th house. So Chiron's healing all of that over time, but at the time of this moon, so therefore for the next 30 days, he's going to trine the sun in your 3rd house. Now the 3rd house is siblings, short-term trips and travel. It can be longer-term friends and buddies and friends that you've been with for a while. And it can also be just your neighborhood where you live. And it's also writing, teaching, and speaking online, or doing any kind of business that's online, especially, you know, thinking all the themes of shorter education, seminars and workshops and stuff. Those belong to the 3rd house. And so that very busy cadent house, you know, full of all kinds of things, newspapers, periodicals, blogs, you know, all of that's there. So for some of you Geminis, you might get some really good luck there, some healing energy towards things that you're endeavoring to do. Like if you're taking an online course, it could be very healing. If you want to teach one, it could be very healing for you and others. Okay, so pay attention to the healing blessings over the next 30 days of things that are happening in your natal 3rd house. If you have a sibling, then this could also be a very healing time in your relationship to that sister or brother. All right. Next, Cancer. This is going to be a long video. I'm going really slow. Sun, moon, and ascendant. This is an 8th house energy, and that's where the moon is, right? We're talking about this full moon. This is a house of your resources that belong to others, like your spouse's money, the bank's money, investment money, loan money, mortgage money. Yeah, it's money that, you know, you have by virtue of somebody else and not your own revenue stream. And so we have that. Plus it's a deep, dark, mysterious occult house, you know, where you're in touch with, you know, the magical, mysterious worlds of the hidden realms. So there's that. So some of you Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, therefore, will be experiencing a jolt of something from the 11th house energies where Uranus is sitting during this full moon. Now, 11th house is friends and allies and social circles and networks that you belong to. It is some great gains from your career. It's your hopes, dreams, and wishes. With a jolt of electrical energy coming from the Great Awakener in your 11th to the money house, you could receive some kind of unexpected surprise, good or bad, around finances as you get that electrifying zap in the moon money. I wonder too if there's not some karmic blessings that could be coming to you financially as well, because the 11th house can be the house of your karmic rewards. And so Uranus there may dispense karmic blessings and dividend checks to the 8th house, a sudden tax rebate or something good happening in your money spot. So it's not too tough for you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, really. Now let's go over to, and because it's occult mysteries and magic, if you're involved in discovering and going deep into mystery and, the alchemical stuff and the witchy stuff and the magical stuff, and Uranus is jolting you in that area, you could have some kind of sudden, illumination or understanding. Oh, by the way, the 8th house is secrets. Okay. Uranus could mean a friend, a social friend, an ally, somebody in your social networks reveals a secret to you, and it may be shocking or unsettling. Boom. Okay. Now let's go over to the sun in the 2nd house. At the time of this eclipse, right? Because the sun is opposite the moon in the 8th, and that's in the house of your revenue, and it's going to get a healing energy from Chiron in your 10th. So Chiron's going to try to bring you some money and some stream of income through things that you're doing in the world, a career path. And as well, it could be a healing that involves other 2nd house issues, your voice, your throat, what you want to say to the world, or if you have a food thing that's not working, or you drink too much alcohol, or an addiction, because the 2nd house is things we imbibe to nourish us. And there's that energy coming from Chiron. We could do a healing of our food style or substances that we ingest and change it up. Technically, Chiron kind of runs the gamut when it comes to plant medicine. If you want to do your ayahuasca journey or some spiritual thing, Cancers, or take some, whatever, peyote or some kind of magic mushrooms or whatever. I'm not endorsing that. This is not an endorsement. And if it's not legal in your country, please disregard what I said. But I'm saying plant spirit medicine is ruled by, completely ruled by the energies of that magical Chiron and sometimes Aries. And so just suggesting perhaps if some of you are plant medicine spirit people and you do that kind of connection with plant medicines, that you could do plant medicine during the next 30 days and have a very big healing, very profound revolutionary healing with Chiron in that time. Okay, hope I don't get a strike for that. I heard somebody get really trashed by YouTube for giving some kind of advice like I just did that could be considered not kosher. Okay, anyway, moving on. Leo, this is a 7th house moon. This is your long-term partnerships, like marriage partnerships or living with someone, business partnerships as well. If you're working with people one-on-one, these are your clients. So for you Leos, and sometimes it can mean your audience as well. So for you Leo, sun, moon, and ascendants, you're having the moon sitting here getting electrified by a jolt of energy, a square from Uranus in your career house. So because it's coming from the 10th house of career, it may be more about business partnerships and clients than it is about your marriage partner, although it could be some kind of electrical bolt of energy from friction for what you're doing in your career path, causing tension in your marital path, all right? And so if there's an upset there in your long-term relationship and committed relationship coming from the career point, it could simply be there's some sudden thing happening in the career zone that influences your relationship. Again, if you have clients, it could also be about reaching your clients in new ways. Uranus does rule the internet. And, for you, Leo, sun, moon, and ascendants, he's literally going through internet technologies anyway. He's going through your 10th house, and he's going to be there until 2026. He's been there for about a year. I guess that says to me, you're likely going to find yourself using the internet more and more for the work you do. Now, that's true for all of us, but for you, Leo, sun, moon, and ascendants, it's even more so. You can benefit greatly by getting on the internet bandwagon, okay? Let's look a little bit now at the Chironic miracle healing part. The sun is sitting at the time of the moon in the 1st house for you, your house of your body, your identity, how you see yourself, how you feel, your personality, all of that, your avatar. And then the healing from Chiron is coming from the 9th house. Now, Chiron in the 9th house for you, and it started up, a year ago, you can get great guides and mentors and spiritual teachers and coaches and people leading you, whether it's in person with you or you just find somebody you resonate with and you suddenly watch all of their TV shows, or their YouTube videos. It's a time in which you're meant to be guided and mentored and to find mentors outside yourself. Don't do it alone, you Leos. You're so so feisty to do your own thing, but you can be guided right now very effectively with Chiron in your ninth house until 2026 or so. Oh, 27 or 8 even. It's quite a ways out there. Now, during this moon, Leo, Chiron is blessing you or healing something in your world about your body, your self-identity, your personality. It's a sweet, sweet energy to have Chiron trining the ascendant. And then during this moon, and therefore propelling, because it's trying the sun, right? So the idea the sun is in your first house. And of course, that means Chiron is also operating to bless or gently massage your seventh house of marriage. So even when you have that jolt of energy coming from Uranus, you also have some healing in your marriage and your long-term relationships and relationships with clients, if that's appropriate, going on over the next 30 days from this new moon, full moon. All right, enough said, moving on. Okay, woohoo, gotta get some energy going. I haven't had dinner yet, so it's getting to be that time. I'm getting hungry. All right, so let's go on. You Virgos, this is happening. The moon is in your sixth house already. Sixth house is health. Sixth house is livelihood, that is your workplace or how you do your work. It's the house of work, service and servitude, hopefully not slavery, right? You want to get into a groove with what your work is and your employees and place of employment, or if you're a boss, this is the place where your employees are. So all of those themes are ripe right now for you on the next 30 days. And health as well, taking care of your health. Now with Uranus jolting and electrifying that sixth house, kaboom, from the ninth house, you might learn something. You might get a guidance or an insight from a ninth house place, a college, a campus, a university, a mentor, a guide, a book you read. They can inform better ways to work or better ways to be healthy. Okay, either one. And this is going to be in play, this jolt of something, jolting your sixth house for the next 30 days or so from this moon. And, you know, also the sixth house is a bit of the karmic debt energy. Like, what do you owe? You know, what's your karmic debt? And so, you know, having this moon here is a time to relieve a little bit of karmic debt, and Uranus can do it like that. Kaboom. Sudden jolt of energy, sudden jolt of insight, sudden jolt of change, changing your work, changing the way you work, changing your health protocols. Or, as I said, maybe reading a book, ninth house things, books are in the ninth house, and getting a download and insight about how to be healthy or how to change a chronic health problem for good, how to shift it. Finally, a guide, a mentor, or a healer, Chiron, helping you shift a health issue and helping you direct yourself towards right livelihood. All of that courtesy of the next 30 days. Thank you, moon. And now, Virgo. So we got this 12th house sun. That's where the sun is going through right now for you guys, because you're, you know, if you're a Virgo rising, sun and a moon, but Virgo risings particularly, the sun is in your 12th house. And because the sun's in Leo, and that's your 12th house of past lives and you know, dreams at night and some of the karma of your past lives, and the sense of and hidden enemies. But anyway, I hate that one, because like, what are you going to do with a hidden enemy? Astrology goes, oh, you got a hidden enemy in your 12th house. You're going, well, that helps. You know, how do I find that person? So you've got this energy of your 12th house sun during this full moon, sun opposite moon. And then you've got the healing balm of Chiron from the 8th house of magic and mystery and money that doesn't belong to you. Student grants, student loans, mortgages, stipends, spousal money, partner's money, inheritances, you know, money in the 8th house. Okay, so if Chiron is in your 8th house, he's there for a while, right? He got there, well, you know, a year ago, and he's going to be there for another 7 years or so. So you're not looking at this being a sudden theme. I mean, you working with other people's money is a very healing journey for the next long while. However, as well, this particular acute event is that trine to the sun, and it's happening because the sun is moving in such a way that it moved itself into a trine with that retrograde Chiron. So the next 30 days means some kind of energy is going to be healed and revealed from your 12th house. So it could be a past life pattern that's going to be, you know, healed by Chiron, because 12th house is your past lives. A lot of Leo people are very entitled because they have a Leo 12th house, and it's almost like you were sovereign Capricorn, a leader, a governmental leader, a commander of some kind in a past life. So maybe there's some kind of healing going on with your, depends what planets are in your 12th house to bolster that. But in general, there's a theme of people who have Leo in the 12th house, whole sign house. Now, I would say to you, to finish up the Virgo story, that this is going to be very magical, because Chiron's also coming from the house of magic. So if you're healing a past life story, it will be done magically. No need to stress about it, okay? Let's move on. Libra, 5th house, romance, children, all of that, creative projects and ideas, joy, fun, and pleasure. This is where the moon is sitting at the time of the full moon. And it is getting a jolt of energy, kaboom, coming out of the 8th house. Now, 8th house is magic and mystery and occult traditions. It's also about money. So, and if you're doing any kind of thing, like you want your own project, you want to start a new business, a new idea, you want to birth a thing, a project, an inspiration, well, you could get some luck around some money coming from somewhere out of the blue. A grant, a loan, a stipend, you know, I don't know, an inheritance. The 8th house money is money that's not yours. Your spouse says, hey, here's some money for your project. If it's not about money in the 8th house, it's about magic and mystery and, oh my God, deep wisdom and occult knowledge. So applying to children, romance, and birthing new projects. I'll leave that up to you to figure out, Libras, Libra, sun, moon, and ascendant. So let's go on to the healing. Chiron's coming from the 7th house, where he's been since a year ago and will be for another 5 or 6, 7 years, 7 years. So Chiron is trying to heal your primary one-on-one relationships, okay? In general, that's the thing, all right? That's what he's doing. Long-term love relationships, long-term friendships are under renovation and healing as a general long-term theme for you guys, as well as working with clients and changing maybe the clients you work with, kind of clients that you work with. All 7th house themes for you, Librans. And then the trine, the loving kiss from Chiron during the actual moon itself, full moon on the 3rd, is coming from to the 11th house. So you may be definitely healing some long friendships, you know. The 7th house isn't just marriage partnerships. It's friendships that are like marriages that we've had for a long time. 7th house is business partnerships. If you have a business partner in any endeavor, then with that Chironic energy coming into play from the 7th to the 11th, you may heal some kind of imbalance in a business partnership. And you may also form a new business partnership or connection, because 11th house's energy is benefactors and allies that are in the house of your larger social networks. You know, I belong to the Association of Astrologers, NCGR. That was an example. You could belong to something, you know, you could be in a tribal connection to a great group of people, and something good could happen to you with Chironic healing from that part of your chart, from that part of your life, that will fortify business partnerships and long-term friendships, as well as your marriage if you have one. Thank you, Chiron. All right, going on, Scorpio. Yes, I'm getting like, I'm wanting to move now, guys. I'm on my squeaky chair. I want to move. Scorpio, this is a 4th house energy, that your moon is sitting in the house of your home. Now, if you're in a home you love, this doesn't mean you'll move, but it means over the next 30 days, there's a lot of things happening suddenly and unexpectedly regarding home, real estate, and land. Jolt of energy, boom, you know, coming at you from the 7th house where Uranus is transiting. With Uranus transiting your 7th house, there's a call for new kinds of business partnerships, new kinds of love relationships, and new kinds of clients. That's in play from about 2019 to the end of 2026 or so. So that's a long journey of Chiron revolutionizing your 7th house. That aside, during the actual moment of this moon, which then plays out for another month, you're getting a jolt of energy to the 4th house. So things to do with home and real estate. And it's a square, so it can be tension. It could be arguing with a landlord. It could be argument with a mortgage broker if you're trying to close a deal or something. But it's Uranus. It could be the unexpected, and it could actually be a good surprise. That's the thing with Uranus. It's square, yeah, but it just means jolt of action that could, or event, a jolty sudden event that could actually be really, really positive. So we don't know yet until it happens, because Uranus is very unpredictable. You can't just say it'll be bad. I don't think that's true. Now let's look at Chiron. Chiron is sitting in your 6th house of right livelihood and health protocols, and it's been there for a while, trying to heal your food style, your exercise style. Will be there for another 7 years. Got there a year ago. That's a longer journey for Scorpio rising, sun and moon. Okay. Now, this energy coming from Chiron in your 6th house, and it's also your workplace, is going to heal your 10th house of career, heal your 10th house of your relationship to one of your parents, perhaps your mom. And this is going to be really a sweetness. Chiron is trining your 10th house. The next 30 days is very healing in the career zone for Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun and moon. And so you may start to feel really good about your career right now and really feel like blessed and magical and excited. Thank you, Chiron, for that. And Chiron does, of course, sextile, therefore, your 4th house. So despite that jolt coming from Uranus, with that sextile from Chiron, it could be very healing in the anchor of the chart, including ancestral line healings as well. Sagittarius, we're looking at the natal 3rd house. Now, let me say something about Sagittarius, fiery, adventurous, faith, hope, and optimism souls. When this moon is sitting in your 3rd house, you know, you guys are always the spirit of adventure, and the 3rd house is the house of travel. You know, when you go gallivanting around on big adventures, and with COVID or the pandemic, that's been short-circuited for you. But you're going to pick up some speed here and get your feet back together on the ground of travel or fun or play or pleasure or adventure in the regards of moving around, because this is going to be a jolt of energy coming from Uranus to your 3rd house. Now, this jolt comes from the 6th house of karmic debt, right? Livelihood, food styles, what you eat, exercise habits, and also work. Could a sudden event around the workplace lead you to take a trip that is going to be really exciting? This is siblings in the 3rd house. So perhaps there's going to be some events going on with your siblings that's sudden and unexpected and surprising. I think that with that energy, the sweet sextile from Chiron to your 3rd house, that whatever trips you take are going to be really blessed. And anything that happens with a sibling will have a healing, if not a healing impact, even if there's a jolt of something unexpected, okay? Finally, the 3rd house is things that are in your neighborhood, and including the buddies and the friends of your hood, okay? Oh, a squeaky twinky chair, sorry. All right, next, the energy then, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendant, of healing from Chiron. It's coming from Chiron in your 5th, which means Chiron is trying to heal your relationship to your own children, to pregnancy and childbirth and having children, creative projects and inspiration, and love affairs. Oh, all of that's being healed for the next few years, 6 years for you Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendants. Okay, boom. But this particular moon is going to have an impact because the sun will be sitting in the 9th house of foreign lands, foreign travel, book publishing, higher education, mentorship, God, religion, and spirituality. All of those themes are going to be very active for you in the next 30 days as Chiron blesses that part of your chart, trines it, sends it goodness and opportunity and expansion and luck. Given we have a virus, you may not travel abroad, but maybe you will. Just get yourself a mask and on you go to an airplane. You may be propelled to hell or high water. You're going to get on a long distance train, plane, or automobile and take a trip. For you Sagittarius who might feel very frustrated during this pandemic. Any travel you do will be very restorative, healing, and bring magic to you. Thank you for that, Chiron. Moving on, Capricorn. Caps, you're going to have a moon sitting in your 2nd house of self resources and possession, money, ways you meet your basic survival needs, your voice, your throat, things you put out, voices, and things you put in, food and drink. So Capricorn, you may renovate some of that during the next 30 days, improve those things in your life, increase your revenue. With a jolt of lightning coming from Uranus, that's near stationary Uranus in your 5th house. This could be money from a creative project, money through speculation, money through luck, money through luck. The 5th house is luck and speculative risks. You can have a financial bonanza, Capricorns, in your house of revenue through some lucky break from Uranus in the 5th, squaring the 2nd. Now, also, this is a house of your children, so you could have unexpected money stuff going on with your kids, the house of your creative projects, and the house of romance. So I don't know, lucky break in romance leads to lucky money break. Something going on with your children leads to some money, good money for you, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Your fifth house is play, fun, and pleasure as well. So Uranus is trying to electrify that part of your chart. Where he's been for a year, will be for 6 more years. Just a heads up for all you Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants. Uranus in your fifth house for the next few years is accidental pregnancy. So if you're a woman, be careful. If you're a man, be careful with your partner. If you don't want a pregnancy. Okay, so let's go ahead. 8th house is where the sun sits during the actual full moon on August 3rd, and it's getting a healing balm and a love up and a kiss from Chiron in the 4th house. So Chiron's sitting in your house of home, and for some of you Capricorns, that's a longer journey of healing your ancestral line, your relationship to your parents, and also until like 2027, even healing the homeland, like you're healing at home, healing from your home. So that Chiron though is trining the 8th house of other people's money, and you've got a money axis active, right? The full moon is on the 2nd 8th house axis, so you could get some unexpected money or some healing around money that belongs to your spouse, inheritance, grants, loans, mortgages, bank money, investment money, 8th house money, royalties, some big royalty check from something you put out there ages ago, and oh my God, I got a great royalty check, came in the mail. I'll give you an example. There was a bankruptcy and I got a check from the bankruptcy people recently, and I was like, yay, because I was a part of a class action lawsuit for a concert that failed to go ahead. And so my $400 came back to me as $60. Oh, well, but that's 8th house kind of money in general. And then suddenly, we've got a trine. So Chiron can bring you some money that you are not necessarily even expecting, like 8th house is tax rebates as well. Okay. Let's move on. Finally, me, Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius rising. For you Aquarius risings, sun and moon, you're looking at having the moon in your natal first house. Natal first house, yay. And that's your identity. How you look, how you present, your personality, your avatar. Today I'm wearing a little tiny little dress. This is my avatar with my little funky boho earrings that look like feathers but are made from leather from a lady in Mexico. So, how you look and how you are and how you present to the world, your persona energy is the ascendant energy. And this moon is sitting, this full moon on August 3rd is sitting right there on, that first house energy, especially for you Aquarius risings, but derivatively sun and moon as well. And, so you're looking at this jolt of electrified energy coming from Uranus in the 4th house. Now, Uranus in your 4th house, in earnest since early 2019 means change of residence. It's called the nomad signature. Uranus will be there for another 6 years. You're not likely to stay put. In fact, as soon as Uranus went to my 4th house, I moved from Vancouver to Montreal, and I've been in Vancouver for many years, since 2003. So we're looking at this ongoing Uranian renovation and electrification of the home base, right? But during this moon on August the 3rd, we are going to feel a jolt of energy from the home base. And it could be your ancestral line as well. If you're into ancestral healing and family constellation work, that is applying. So you could have a jolt of insight and aha, eureka about your family story, about your family origin, about your ancestral line, about all of that kind of zaps your identity. Like, oh my God, everybody in my family is a prude. My daughter said to me today, she's got some eczema on her arms and stuff. She's been wearing all these long sleeves, and in the middle of summer, she said, "It's hard to dress like a nun in the summer." And I said, "Oh my God, yes, because you were a nun with me in a past life." But I come from this ancestral line of nuns. We're very pristine and prissy and frigid female lines. I think I'm busting up by wearing a little demi today instead of actually having myself covered up more. So anti-script the family system. So us Aquarians could have a jolt of insight about that family ancestral line and family of origin stuff during the next 30 days. Now, the 4th house is your home and the 1st house is your identity. And it could be there's a sudden opportunity to relocate that you didn't see coming. End of story. I've been feeling, I love my apartment, but I've been feeling I'm going to be giving a chance to move. And I'm like, really? Move? I don't know if I want to, but I keep feeling it. Now, let's look at the healing energies then that's coming from Chiron for us Aquarius rising, sun and moons. So Chiron is sitting or moving through our 3rd house, which he will be for 7 more years, you know, kind of healing relationships with siblings and healing things to do with writing, speaking, teaching, and communicating, and allowing us to find mentors in that area or be mentors and guides for others, Chiron in the third. That's going on for a lot of us Aquariuses. And now that energy of Chiron is sending a blessed trine and a gifting, healing, love energy to the 7th house of business partnerships, marriage partnerships, and clients that you serve. Now I see a lot of clients one-on-one. So Chiron's going to be blessing that part of my life over the next 30 days. And I am single. Maybe I'll meet somebody who's marriage worthy in the next 30 days. You never know, right? You just never know, because it doesn't mean that I have to have a marriage partner, nor does any Aquarian listening, in order for this to be effectively healing something in that part of the chart. So just stay tuned for that possibility over the next 30 days. That's about it. And last but never least are the Piscean sun, moon, and ascendants, especially the rising signs. The energy of the moon itself is sitting in your 12th house. That's your dreams at night. That's your reveries and meditations. That's your past lives. That's the hidden underworld part of you, like the unseen part, your own unconscious. And, you know, it's a house of liberation and spiritual enlightenment too. And so the moon sits there, and you've got Uranus sending a jolt of energy from the 3rd house. Now, boom, to a very subtle place in the chart. The 12th house doesn't usually play out or out picture, okay, as real things, although it can be sometimes money we make remotely. So if you do something online and you're selling something online and you're not like handing cash at the till, that can be remote money. So there's that tangible part of the 12th house. And I just learned that, by the way. I'm going to share that. One of my favorite astrologers, Astrology, is her channel, and her name is Lada, gave me that insight, and I've been using it effectively with my clients, and it's been very accurate. So a shout out to Lada of Astrology. And so the 12th house could be some remote money. And with Uranus pinging from the 3rd, it's about a sibling, or it's about your local neighborhood, or it's about a short-term trip or travel. Good luck with that, right, in COVID, but you could travel. So if you take a trip or something comes from a sibling where Uranus is, boom, you could have a sudden money breakthrough thanks to a sibling. You could have a short-term trip or travel that increases something in your 12th house, insight, downloads, dreams, reveries. 3rd house is if you want to take an online course, seminar, or workshop during the next 30 days, it's going to really improve your 12th house features, remote money, your dreams at night, your chance of enlightenment. So if it's, you know, a meditation course online, it's a good time to take it. Thank you, Uranus, for the tip. Let's look over at the last part of this thing, the healing balm of Chiron. Chiron is coming from your 2nd house of earned income and resources and money. So Chiron's trying to heal that part of your life since 2019, February, at about 8 years. So, you know, you're in the very early stages of a longer term healing about those themes of revenue, earnings, and survival needs being met. It's also about the food you eat and the things that you drink. And it's also about your message in the world, your voice. So those themes are very big for you guys, you Pisces ascendants, sun and moon, particularly rising. And so with Chiron going through the 2nd house for quite a while, it's this time of the moon on August 3rd plus 30 days that he directs a beam of goodness towards your 6th house of your work and your health. So your place of employment, the employment zone, or the work, the desk that you work on in my kitchen, and the Zoom mic, and all that, those things that support the work, the routine of work, is the 6th house. And so the support structures for your routine of work are going to be given a blessing and a healing, thank you, from Chiron. And your health, if your health has been challenging, this next 30 days, you're going to see a lot of improvement in that. And that's a blessing from Chiron, who's also sextiling your 12th house, which is great too, because then he's going to bless anything to do with that remote money that you might be able to acquire over the next 30 days. Alrighty, I'm done. So stay tuned for my next video. I think I'm going to talk about what it means when Venus hits the North Node on August the 5th. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I would appreciate it. I am excited about building up a small and really connected, intimate little astrology community here. I missed last video, guys. I only did announce that I had COVID, but I basically had COVID in March, and sometimes I get sequelae or I relapse. It might be a mild case of the long hauler. So I missed the last moon video, the new moon, but you know, you can't do everything all of the time. And I have the Mars sale below for $97, pre-recorded 45 minutes. And I send it to you within 72 hours of you booking it. And it's very supportive for understanding. I mean, Mars, 6 months in Aries, hasn't done that since 1988 to January of 1989. I have to laugh that the Mars rovers are doing all their Mars things during this long tenure of Mars in Aries. And unlike the last time in the 80s, Mars is now going to be squaring like Jupiter and squaring Saturn and squaring Pluto. May we live in intense and interesting times. So it's good to know what to do with that in your chart, because that means Mars is going through one area of your chart and creating a revolution and a renovation and a change in that part of your life. And you may as well ride that chariot that Mars is driving, you know, knowing what he's doing and trying to participate rather than be unconscious. So if it appeals to you, grab that reading. All right. Ciao, everyone. Mwah. And I'll see you soon.